going on, family? So we're heading to pick up a very special person to me, Renee. Right? For those of you who don't know, this is my $1 million client, one of my first $1 million clients that I basically took or helped her take. She started with about 40K, turned into $1 million, right? In less than a year. I'm going to pick her up because we need to talk about something and you need to hear it. Let's go see her.
$40,000 to $1 million in the stock market in less than a year. That's what the stock trading guru wants us to believe he helped his clients achieve. For those who flunked out of high school algebra, let me do the math for you. A simple rate of return, which is what we're going to use here because he claims this all happened within a year, is the current value, in this case $1 million, minus the original value, $40,000, divided by the original value. This gives us a 1-year return on investment of 2,400%. For a frame of reference, the S&P 500, a composite of the 500 top publicly traded companies in the US, returned approximately 10% over the last 55 years, if you include dividends. More than 90% of money managers cannot beat this index long term. The greatest value investor of all time, Warren Buffett, and his team at Berkshire Hathaway achieved a return of 20% over that same 55-year time period. And the greatest quantitative stock trader of all time, Jim Simons, and his team of world-renowned data scientists managing Medallion Fund have achieved a return of just under 40% after fees since 1988. That being said, this stock trading guru, who was a full-time vegan fitness trainer a couple years ago, wants us to believe that he can help his clients achieve returns in the stock market that can beat Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway by 120 times. And Jim Simons' Medallion Fund by 60-fold.
Trading is kind of like sex, right? Trading is kind of like sex. What I mean by that is you get better at sex the more you do it. Family says, this nigga loves sex. Don't you? Wait a minute, now we gotta stop. Which one of y'all don't love sex?
Guys, these fake gurus are getting bolder and more ridiculous by the day. Oh, look at this. This phrase sounds familiar.
The more you learn, the more you earn.
And what's worse is there's a lot of people out there that would totally defend this dude. They would say, yeah, 40K to $1 million in a year, totally possible, bro.
This is ridiculous, man. Ridiculous.
What's up, guys? So when most people hear the outlandish claims that these fake gurus are making, the knee-jerk reaction is to just dismiss it and think that, hey, anybody that falls for this stuff and believes this kind of stuff, they must just be stupid. They must be, just idiots. And the problem with this kind of dismissive tendency is that it sort of lets people off the hook to think that, hey, this can't ever happen to me. I can't ever be defrauded. I can't ever fall for a grift like this. When the reality is it's a lot more complicated than that. The reason why I listed the historical returns of the S&P 500 of being, 10% if you reinvest dividends, and the historical returns of Warren Buffett being about 20%, as well as the most successful quant hedge fund manager of all time, Jim Simons, with a Medallion Fund being 40%, is so people could have a frame of reference of what's possible. A lot of people don't know, and they operate out of ignorance when it comes to what's possible or what's reasonable in the stock market. There's nothing wrong with being ignorant. We all start out that way, but the onus is on us to educate ourselves so we can understand what we're going up against. The truth is that when it comes to beating the S&P 500, which the majority of money managers don't do, is the more you beat it, the more exponentially difficult things get. So, anybody could buy the S&P 500, get that 10% return yearly. But if you want 15, 20 plus percent, it gets exponentially more difficult. And you need to know that. And that's just a statistical fact. Fake gurus use this ignorance to their advantage so they can make these kind of claims unchecked. And what's worse is that some people are knowingly, willfully ignorant. They want to believe something, so they're willing to go, hey, well, it's possible, 2,400% returns don't violate the laws of physics. But that's focusing on the micro level issue. If we want to look at the big picture and why people fall for these kind of frauds, whether it's ridiculous claims about stock trading, multi-level marketing schemes, or what we've noticed a lot this year, which is the whole cryptocurrency pump and dump schemes, is that there's a lot of blame to go around. None of the parties are completely innocent. And to show this, I made a diagram. I call it the get rich quick quadrant. And it shows the four main parties that are involved, with the top being the supply side. This is going to be, the original scammers or fake gurus, as well as the third party enablers. And at the bottom of the quadrant, we're going to cover, the people buying it or the people getting defrauded, which is going to be the gullible. And there's multiple reasons why someone could be gullible, and the emotional. Multiple reasons why a person could be acting emotionally and not rationally. So in this video, we're going to cover all of these things so we have a clearer picture and we're not oversimplifying what's going on in this whole get rich quick industry. So if this interests you, keep watching. Let's begin. The motivation of these get rich quick gurus is always the same: money. Whether it's MLM pyramid schemes, cryptocurrency pump and dumps, Bitcoin transfer scams, or make money online schemes, the financial incentive for unethical, unscrupulous grifters is pretty straightforward. What is rarely discussed is the massive infrastructure of enablers that make these schemes possible. When it comes to any market craze, some will win, many will lose, but the guaranteed winner is always the same: the market makers.
Every transaction, Senator, and I think it's important, and again, I'm not trying to be resistant, but to make sure terminology, as a market maker, we are buying from sellers and selling to buyers.
But I'm saying where you're not selling it to anyone else.
Whether it's selling digging equipment to gold miners, stockbrokers during a bull market, cryptocurrency exchanges during a Bitcoin bubble, or e-commerce platforms when everyone's trying to sell products online. It doesn't matter if the entrepreneurs or investors succeed, the market makers always make money. And even better, the money is made with little to no risk. The companies manufacturing the products sold by MLMs make steady profits even though 3/4 of all MLM vendors lose money. Cryptocurrency trading platforms like Coinbase have a market valuation of over $50 billion and a business model that charges transaction fees even though record cryptocurrency investment scam losses are being reported to the FTC. And these losses are growing exponentially. When it comes to the fake guru industry selling overpriced business courses, there are many enablers that make a lot of money. Whether it's the luxury goods rental business, companies that write paid news articles, companies who help build the landing pages and sales funnels, or big tech companies who provide the paid advertising these gurus rely on to send targeted ads promising riches, are just a click away. And we're not talking small money either. Because the creation of the courses costs virtually nothing, all the money goes into the platforms that help with marketing.
Me and my business partner, we've got some programs together, Alex. We've spent over $500 million on Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Google ads, to market our own businesses, okay?
All the major big tech platforms claim to have a policy against get-rich-quick ads, but just like consumer protection laws, these rules are rarely enforced. Because 1, there isn't much incentive to enforce them since fake gurus pay top dollar for advertising, and 2, it's too costly to manually filter out all get-rich-quick content. Most ads direct traffic to a link that sends them through a sales funnel. And these ads and landing pages are typically reviewed by cheap labor and trained to only spot egregious policy violations, not the subtle tactics that clever gurus use disguising their schemes as a business opportunity. The harsh truth is that there's really no incentive for anyone involved to stop these predatory practices. During the First World War, the United States Army needed a way to assign recruits to appropriate tasks. This led to the development of several psychological tests that were administered to almost 2 million men, making it the first mass-produced written test of intelligence. This served to screen men for officer training and, in a small number of cases, preclude some from enlisting. Although the tests used are now considered dubious, they resulted in additional funding for the field of psychology and a refinement of intelligence testing. All this research and testing to confirm what had been known for a long time, that there's a small segment of the population who's not very smart and will always be susceptible to manipulation, short-term thinking, and get-rich-quick schemes. Although lack of reasoning abilities are not the only reason people are vulnerable to these scams, many are simply ignorant. They believe there are safeguards in place to protect them from being defrauded, when the reality is those safeguards are flimsy at best, whether it's consumer protection agencies like the FTC and SEC, or getting lured into a false sense of security with risk-free money-back guarantees. What they don't understand is these government agencies move very slow and many times take years to prosecute these scammers, with most small-time charlatans not being brought to justice at all. And if you read the fine print for the money-back guarantees, you'll realize that it's actually very difficult to qualify since many refunds are action-based. With freedoms comes personal responsibility and accountability. The harsh truth is that the freer and more autonomous the people of a nation are, the more those who are knowledgeable will prosper, and those who are ignorant will struggle.
From Wall Street to Main Street, digital cryptocurrencies have exploded in value and popularity, with many Americans eager to get in on the action. But federal investigators say a Wild West culture has led to a massive spike in cryptocurrency scams. Since October, nearly 7,000 people have reported losses of more than $80 million. The median loss, $1,900.
There are also people who willfully choose to believe in these easy money schemes for emotional reasons. This almost always stems from trying to escape pain. With many Americans living paycheck to paycheck and most unable to afford a $1,000 emergency expense, it's no wonder why millions find themselves in a position of financial desperation and consequently a mindset of wanting fast money. Those dealing with chronic financial hardships are particularly primed to suspend their critical thinking abilities and blindly believe in fast money-making strategies that will magically solve all their financial problems. The harsh truth is that when given the choice, a majority of people choose what makes them feel good in the short term, willfully deciding to believe in comforting lies rather than what may be uncomfortable now but can provide long-term benefits. Studies have shown that this short-term thinking is greatly heightened when people are in threat-related negative emotional states. And unfortunately, this plays perfectly into the hands of get-rich-quick charlatans. The harsh truth is that when it comes to these get-rich-quick schemes, there's plenty of blame to go around. There are very few innocent actors, and the regulatory bodies do not have the wherewithal or the capabilities of stopping all of them from happening. So the onus is on us as customers to make sure we don't get defrauded. We need to educate ourselves and the industries themselves to self-regulate when we see obvious bad actors. The only real victims that I see in all this are, people that are genuinely ignorant, but even they need to do their own due diligence. But even then, there's sometimes you can still wind up being defrauded because you're just ignorant. And the people that are really desperate, they're in dire straits and they throw caution to the wind and they're not operating rationally. They're operating out of emotions because they really feel like their back's up against the wall. And I empathize with that. I've said it many times that if you are starting out as either an active investor or you want to start your own business, all the information you need as a newbie is free online, or you can get it very cheaply, books, cheap courses on Udemy and whatnot. And the reality is the majority of what you're going to learn is going to be through real world experience. It's not going to be from theory or some course or from some book. That just gives you the foundation. That gives you maybe a little bit of an idea that you can act on. But the process of actually going out in the world and iterating, that process is unavoidable. It needs to be done as quickly as possible, and you can't try to sidestep that. The markets are too dynamic, whether you're starting your own business in an industry or you're trying to invest in different, public or private markets. It's too dynamic to avoid this iterative process. So you can only consume so much theory. In another video, I'm going to go into more detail why experience is so important and why theory is so limited when it comes to being an active investor or an entrepreneur. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.
I got one, I got me a bad one, fiery, like she is a dragon.